All right. Another area, some inspectors, I'm not gonna judge everyone here, but like sometimes like to bury their heads and ignore is a website because they don't, maybe it's not your domain as an inspector. You know, it happens to be something we know well and do well, so it's easy for us to talk about it. But um let's dig into like kind of why. Because I guys, aren't you, wouldn't you agree? We still hear some inspectors say, like, I'm not too worried about a website. I get most of my referrals from agents. But this is pretty clear what today's home buyers and tomorrow's home buyers are going to be, right, James? I mean, like it's undeniable who's going to be the next crop, even if they're inheriting them or like getting money from baby boomer parents. The numbers don't lie here, right?
They don't lie. And these are, yeah, I mean, you just got to remember if you do fit into, any of these categories that are not Gen Z or millennial, you need to take some time to understand who these people are and how they operate. And this is, again, if you're getting in front of folks who are in the home buying process that fit into those generations, kind of ask them about their process of how they researched the housing, the houses that they were doing, how they were, found their agent. That might have been a little bit more word of mouthy, but what did they do when they heard about that agent? And kind of one of the things we'll bring up in this section is the web is a big part of everything for them. So make sure that you're really thinking that through.
Yeah. I mean, we keep showing this slide to show inspectors that like what's happening now is not indicative of 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And if you are in this business for the medium to long term, you want to get ahead of this so you're not like scrambling to catch up with inspectors that are thinking of how a Gen X or millennial is thinking. 71%. So it's worth paying attention to. This is a classic slide where a very real website of an inspector that's in business on the left, and kind of more of a modern website that, yeah, we happen to build. We're not the only ones, but I think we do it the best. Chance, speak to me as what most inspectors would call a young person shopping online, and just give me your kind of reaction to the slide.
I mean, the left seems like my grandma would be in love with it, and it's got every button she wants to push, but she's already got her own. It's paid off. So for me, I'm overwhelmed by the one on the left. I don't know where to look. I don't know what I'm even doing there. I'm moving on. I got to find something else. Like I'm already panicked. But the one on the right, okay, I'm going to buy my home, schedule online. Cool. Do I need to know anything else? Not really. So it's just streamlined. It's easy. It's arguably a lot more beautiful, if that's another word we want to call it. Like just a nice sunset house instead of a Christmas tree leaf background from Word. I'm not sure what it is. I don't even know if there's a word for it.
Yeah. And James, talk to me about conversion, because a lot of inspectors don't maybe pay attention to, or don't, haven't ever studied the elements of what goes into a conversion oriented homepage. If you want to dive into that, when you as James decided you wanted to do something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the way to think about it is your website. Don't think of it as like a brochure so much, right? Because like a brochure is something that you assume somebody is going to look at all the parts of, read all the parts of, kind of walk through each step, and then at the end they'll feel confident and kind of want to move on. It's like reading a article in the newspaper. The reality is your website, again, going back to that stat of like you got 5 seconds, people's eyes need to find the thing that they're looking for. So if they come to your homepage and they're looking to book a home inspection and they immediately see, okay, that's where I press the button to book it, even if they want more information before they hit that button, they know what they do next. And I think, digital marketing, anything that you're doing online, it opens this magical door where you have the opportunity to continue to push people to the next step. So even if I go to book, I can go to the booking page, I fill out the booking page. What comes after that? You have a thank you page. What does the thank you page do? What do you send them via email once they make that booking? All of those things can help them kind of push them through the process and make the home buying process better for them, the home inspection process better for them, which is what people want at the end of the day. So, I think it's really important to simplify what you do down to a point that people can understand it when they're looking at it really quickly, and then show them what's next. Always give that out. And I would say, did this experiment years ago, but just changing the color of a button on a website can make a massive difference if people see it more easily, if it really stands out. Obviously, this button in the middle of the page, can't miss it, right? It's kind of a dark background. It's white. It really pops. But I've seen a difference from a button that really blends in to a background, kind of sitting at the same part of the web page like this, to like 169% increase in conversion by changing it to a completely obnoxious color that doesn't even look like the website. So there's a lot that you can do. And if you think about that impact on your business of 169% more people actually converting on your website, that's, you know, that's inspection after inspection after inspection that could actually just come from a tiny, tiny tweak. And so remember that. And I think the other thing I want to say, you know, looking at these two examples, is if you look at the one on the left, I almost imagine that being is like showing up to your home inspection dressed in like a leisure suit. Your people are not going to take you seriously because you do not look like what they would sort of picture as somebody who's a serious business person coming to do serious business. And your website is that too. And I think every year we go forward, it's going to become that much more important that your website looks like, you know, the professional home inspection, nice polo, got your logo on it, showing up ready for work, not showing up ready for a, you know, a party in the 70s.
Oh, that's so much great stuff. I love all that. And yeah, the schedule online button, they kind of darken the background. The home looks kind of peaceful, kind of out maybe on a farm, some open space. So it kind of connotes some comfort or kind of like aspirational aspects. Look at the top right too. There's, in case you didn't just want to schedule online, you still have an escape hatch where they can call you, email you. I guarantee if you tap on call from mobile, it'll call right away. You don't have to copy paste. If you click on the email, it'll open up your Gmail or Apple Mail or whatever. So there's elements there to reach every kind of audience. And then there's a for agents tab that we build in, because what if I'm an agent and I land here and I'm like, I don't want to book an inspection. I want to know how you're going to benefit me. There's that. And then down below, oh, in Kingsport, great. Oh, radon. Okay, I need radon too. So there's just so many elements here. That's why I love we have this like time to break this down, because inspectors need to know it's not just, you know, a keyword on the page and then a button. There's so much thought that goes into all these elements, and it's kind of like psychology, no? Like for each of us, we all shop for things. It's fun to kind of like notice them in the moment when you're shopping, that like these are all psychological hacks that we can put in there. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this? We can bounce to the next one.
Nope.
All right, mobile. Let's talk about that. We referenced it. I mean, how prevalent is mobile nowadays, James? I mean, like the percentages keep going up. I don't know what they're at now, but
yeah, I wish I could tell you for kind of the general stat across the board, but I would say, if anything, look at yourself. How often do you sit down at the computer and search for things for your home, right? I think, you know, I am a human being who sits in front of a computer all day. I still, if I was searching for a home inspector, I'd probably pick up my phone to do it. I don't know why, but it's just, that's kind of where my personal life lives, on my phone, not so much my work laptop. So, you know, it's one of those things where I think as an industry, you're ending up in a spot where people are most likely going to be researching you, thinking about you only when they're on their phone, not sitting at their desk at work. So, you know, there is still desktop traffic out there. Not saying there isn't, but I would just say, you know, really, really, the mobile is so important. And as you can see on the left, like the side scroll experience on a website is, that's a killer. Nobody's going to do that anymore. It's the back button is basically what you've created there.
the nightmare. It's a nightmare. And I think at one point we did a few years ago, we looked up all of our booking, like the profile pages across the whole network, the booking page that we create for inspectors, how many views were on tablet and mobile. And I believe it was right around 60% combined, tablet, mobile, 40% desktop. So like that number surely has gone up as mobile gets better and better. On the right, James, schedule inspection button. It's orange. Like you said, love it. Chance, can you speak to something we talk about in the InterNACHI new inspector class? Like, look at Chuck's smiling face on there. Like, what does that do in terms of you being a consumer maybe landing there? Because you're a big, you know, you're a big relationship builder guy. So like, look at that. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, again, this kind of ties into what James said the last line. Like, I know my guy's not going to show up in a suit. He's going to show up in that branded polo. That's who he is. That's what he looks like. I've met him before I've met him, so I already have a relationship started. So I feel comfortable. Like I would feel a little nervous if I didn't know what the guy showing up was looking like. Like, some guy knocking on your door randomly, and who is that? Now I know. I'm like, oh, this is Greg. That's my home inspector.
Yeah. And I mean, he purposely did that based on us when we built the site of saying like, hey, they feel like they know you if you put your face on there. And I think everyone feels a little insecurity. We talk about it all. Like we're putting ourselves out there right now, right? By putting our face on something, and inspectors might be like, oh, I feel like I know those guys because I've heard them speak a little. Putting a face to it only helps for me wanting to say like, oh, that's the kind of guy I want inspecting my house. Like, let me book that right now.
Yeah.
He's got some other, like, to James's point, supplementary information down below. That was the choice he made to say, like, let me give you a little bit of the brochure material down below, but like, I still want you to be able to book if you can. So there's different ways to handle it. All right. Basics. James, you want to talk through some of these? Because some of these are, we already talked about some of them, but I think some of these are worth a little bit more elaboration on.
Yeah. So I mean, visually clean, right? I always think like in my head when I think of bad websites that weren't visually clean, I think of like the MySpace days when everybody got to be their own web designer and just kind of toss stuff onto the page as much as they wanted. That obviously kind of hurts people's brains these days. Everybody kind of aesthetically with websites has gone to something sort of bright, sharp, and clean tends to be a fairly common theme. And the reason that they do that is you kind of need white space, and you need sort of the visual separation that white space brings you to help people skim through the content, which is what they're going to do before they read. So that visual cleanliness is always something to go for. If you have also just like the coloration, if you go for a really dark background, and then maybe your font is a little bit on the darker side. You also have to think of people that have visual impairment, and it's really difficult for a lot of them to see those things. Really tiny text is another one that can kind of trip people up and make people hit the back button. So just kind of think through that. High quality images. We all now have phones in our pockets that do incredible things with photos. They just look great. So if your photo doesn't look great on your website, people are going to question, at what era did you take that photo? This is obviously not something new if it's a little blurred or not looking good. And things like, I mean, going to kind of the key photo here of the home inspector, you don't have to spend a ton of money on headshots, but it would be good to try to find somebody else to take a picture of you, not just like a selfie. It's find a friend, ask a stranger, whatever it may be, but have somebody help you out. And if you can afford it, getting a good headshot done sometimes can really be worth it. Logos are an important one because those are another sort of visual differentiator of modern versus non-modern. And so if your logo looks like something that was, maybe put together quite a while ago, or is really messy, or you're trying to include, the same words, let's say you have a work truck with like a big magnetic sticker, and on that magnetic sticker, it's got your company name, it's got all your services and all those things. If you shrink that down to website size, it's just going to look weird. So make sure that you have just a very sort of clean, tight logo to be able to put on there. Tap targets, this is for mobile. This is also something that, Google does look at as far as search engine optimization and things like that, is actual accessibility and usability of your site. And so making sure that the buttons that you have on your mobile site, and making sure that those are really clickable and easy to get to. If you imagine you have two buttons sitting next to each other and it's hard to hit the right one, it's going to be really annoying for people. But also on the back end, Google's looking at your code and deciding if you actually have a good setup there. And if you want to rank well on mobile, your website has to be very mobile friendly. Call and email tappable buttons. Kevin, you brought this one up. It's make sure if somebody taps on a phone number, that's happened to me recently. I was trying to call a place, tapped on it again, kept banging on it with my finger, thinking there was something wrong with me. And it just turns out they never coded the thing to
Ugh.
tab target. And so I didn't call because I didn't want to copy and paste. Like I just gave up because it wasn't that important to me. So people will give up on you. So make sure those are easy. And then the last one, I might want to kick this one over to Chance. Online scheduling, the importance of that. If you want to drill down there, Chance.
Yeah, real quick, let's hit that in a second. But like
Okay.
it on the millennials and Gen X piece, maybe maybe we update this too to say the tap to text is kind of underrated. Because I've watched my wife like hit the back button multiple times when she couldn't chat or text somebody. Even a higher rated service provider, I like watched her do this, and then we had a good laugh about it where she was like, "Yeah, I'll do anything to avoid a phone call." I'm like, "Dang, you're like a millennial for sure." So yeah, the tap to text button. Ask us about that if you don't have that. But Chance, let's get into the online scheduling. So we're going to get into it in a second, actually, in the next section. So let me hold off and just say the point here is, in Chance, you talk to a lot of solo inspectors that have an okay website, maybe not snowflakes on it, like we talked about on the previous slide, but can you speak to the fact, like, I just can't emphasize this one enough, where you don't hear from people like James, that when you hit the back button, you didn't go and tell that business you didn't get a hold of them, right? Like
Nope.
it sounds simple. It's like, it's such a basic concept, right, Chance? Like, but you don't know when they back out.
Yeah, and that's what James said, that you want that convertibility. Like, I want to get to your website and I want to get business from it. I don't just want to have it. I don't want to be stagnant sitting there. It's not a bookshelf holder. We need this thing to be active. We need this thing to be engaging with folks. So it's one of those. I'm proud of you for having a website. That was the first step, but you got to keep walking. You got to make it better. You got to make it more modern.
And we know it's all frustrating, right? Like that's like we're always updating our code every, like we have what 10, 12 developers now. So it's like we know that tech moves faster than any of us want it to, and things get outdated in a year. It's no fun. But the fact is, pretty much everyone now judges quality of your inspection from your website. So get it right. Chance, we talked about this a little before, but like the survival rate based on the website, kind of interesting, right? Like a few years ago, none of us actually had any proof, but then we did like a cohort study of first year inspectors who you work with a lot. Do you think this probably will surprise a lot of the inspectors you talk with, right?
Yeah, no, and it's a shocking stat that you need to pay attention to. Like, I don't care how good you are at home inspecting. If I can't find your website, if I can't verify that you are who you say you are, that you seem legit, I'm out of there. And I'm on to the next guy. 5 seconds, I'm gone. So it's one of those, like, I'm glad you have a website. That's step one, but you got to make these advances to really get our business.
And the way you just said it plainly and concisely, that's how matter of fact I think millennials and Gen Z thinks about this stuff. And us three are perfect examples of that. We're just like, no, it's like not even a debate. Gotta have good memes in any good slide deck. So let's talk content on the website. We're gonna get to online booking in a second. But like, Chance, we always get the question from new inspectors, well, what do I put on the website? I don't know. Like some of them are even like, what do I put on my about page? But like, if each of you can weigh in, Chance, will go to you first, of like the basics. And then as you grow, it gets into more of the marketing phase, which James and I can riff on.
The easiest thing you can do is hit pause on this webinar right now, pick up your phone, turn on the lights, and record a 60-second, 30-second video telling people who you are, what you do, a little bit about yourself, and then put it on your website, and then push play on this. Like, that's the easiest thing you can do to get going.
Please listen to Chance, everybody, because we just beg people, because like people will feel like they know you so well from a 30-second video or 60-second video. We're doing like an hour here, but like that's all we're asking for. Tell them about yourself, throw it ask us to put it on your homepage. So for those that want to be ambitious, and I think this is the time and the season and the market cycle point to do that as you grow. This could be for everyone now, right, James, in terms of like going above and beyond, because the status quo, the bar now is the basics, but like, how do you stand out? It's probably these as you grow things. So like, what jumps out to you on those?
Yeah, I mean, the top one to me is, especially for new inspectors, like when you are doing those first inspections, ask for those reviews. Try to get those up as quickly as possible. Make sure they're on your website as well as on, Google and wherever else you have reviews. But definitely get, that's what we call in the marketing world social proof, right? People, you're trying to build trust with people, and you're going to build trust with people based off of reviews more so off of what you say. And we've come into this world, if you think about, if you're like most people at this point, and you go onto Amazon and you go to buy something that solves a problem for you but isn't name brand, like you're not going for a known brand, where do your eyes go, right? You go into the reviews. And while we know that there's a massive problem with false reviews out there on Amazon, if you start seeing a couple hundred reviews and they're all 5-star, you're going to take a chance and buy that thing. You are that object on Amazon to some people. They need to see reviews. And once they see those reviews, even though they don't even know who those people are who left the reviews, they trust that because that's kind of how we've been conditioned. So reviews, I think is just massive.
I love that. And to add on to that for new inspectors, James, you said this, like your first inspection, if it went pretty decent to good, ask for a review. And then if you're jiving with the agent, ask if they can like maybe talk to you for another 5 or 10 minutes and to build a case study, because then you're getting a lot of juice out of that one inspection. Because yeah, you're not going to get 100 reviews when you've only done one inspection, but you could have a page of content of how that agent feels about you and really get some mileage out of it. Chance, in terms of add-on services, so like new inspectors, I think, struggle competing against the big boys because the big boys offer everything, multi-inspector companies, all in one-stop shop, right? So I think even if you do one add-on service, it's worth adding it. But do a lot of new inspectors do you hear them asking about add-ons, the experience solos? Like, are they looking to add more services?
Yeah, that's the name of the game right now. Like you said, to make yourself more valuable, you have to have add-on services. You have to have the ammo in your gun to be able to compete at the duel. So yeah, add-on services, and it's one of those two. You can offer add-on services, and you don't have to have the sewer scope or the radon. You don't have to have the equipment. If you find someone in your network who can third-party contract that out, you can provide the value, and somebody else provides the service, but that still adds to your business. So I know it's an investment to buy these sewer scopes that are a couple grand. I know radon equipment to track and to take care of is tough. So if you're not quite ready for it, have someone else do it and just be that connecting piece.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great tip. Like you're giving bonus business tips here of like offer everything, refer it out, use your actions to send them the automatic, the home buyer information, time, date, all that. Cause it looks great on the site when you're like anything you need, we got you. It helps you compete. James, we'll move on. We could probably talk about DIY articles and videos and researching local real estate statistics all day. We could geek out to that, but I think that's like level 301 content to put on your site, unless there's anything you want to like implore inspectors to look at there.
Yeah, I would say the only thing, just looking at this last one here of interesting findings in your area, I think that's just something in general to always keep in the back of your mind as you're doing those inspections. Especially if you like are going into a neighborhood that's a bunch of new build and you keep seeing kind of similar issues, that's the kind of stuff real estate agents want to know, right? Like we just keep seeing, bad finishing on the windows. They're just not in right. Things like that. Like if you're running into those things, that's the kind of stuff that when you grab coffee with an agent, like you're the inside track on things that they may need to make sure that their clients are ready for when they're in the buying process and that home inspection is coming up. They can kind of give people a heads up. Hey, this is a common issue in this area. Maybe it's radon, maybe it's sewer problems, any of those things. The more that you can share, that's awesome. So always kind of keep notes somewhere of like, what do I keep running into? That can be great content for your website. That can be great for conversation. That can make you a better home inspector or look even, more knowledgeable to the actual home buyers. So that one I think is just so important. And I wish people would send us more of that information because I'm just curious.
I
To
love
see
that
what
mindset
people
shift
do.
though, dude, of like zooming out to see trends, because then you now are an expert on what's happening as opposed to the kind of micro focus on each house.
Yeah.
And if it's out of, you've only done 2 inspections, 2 out of 2, 100% of your inspections, this has happened. Like, that's not a lie. That's marketing. uh, so hopefully we've given you some stuff to shift the mentality to like, do not skimp. Even if we didn't make websites, I'd say do not skimp on websites, because it is what we look at. It's what modern home buyers look at. We're about to get into online scheduling, and then let your website sell for you. It takes pressure off you as an inspector. If your site is converting people like James talked to, let it do the work. That's scalable, and you're making money in your sleep.